All right, welcome everyone to the SDA 2021 annual meeting. As I've noted to everyone, be sure you've logged in with your chapter name, delegate name, and so forth. We will be starting our annual business meeting in just a moment. Please keep all your lines muted, which will keep for a clear recording. And with that, those are all my housekeeping announcements. So I am pleased now to introduce to you SDA's National President from the Denver chapter, Karen Roman. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you, Steph. I too would like to welcome everyone to our annual meeting. We would have preferred to have this meeting in person, of course, but we are pleased that so many of you have joined us virtually. And let's all cross fingers that next year we're all together again. Before we call the meeting to order, I'd like to mention a few items. When roll is called, please respond verbally. We will be using polling to vote, and only delegates should answer the polls. Also during the meeting, if you need to speak on business-related matters, such as floor nominations or bylaw amendments from the floor, excuse me, please type in the chat box RTS for request to speak. And Stephanie will be monitoring the chat box for us. General conversation is not permitted within the chat box for once the annual meeting starts, so please abide by that. With that, the 52nd annual meeting of the Board of Directors for SDA will please come to order, and I'm whacking the gavel. I'm your president, Karen Roman of the Denver chapter. Our annual meeting is the only opportunity for the Board of Directors to meet in one location, figuratively, for the sole purpose of conducting the business of SDA. It is asked that each delegate take seriously the business matters presented in this forum, discussing issues with deliberate, careful thought, and speaking always with respect for one another. An agenda was posted to the SDA national website and Basecamp prior to the meeting. Next, I would like to introduce your executive committee. Your president-elect is Marie Tamala, CDFA of the Minneapolis-St. Paul chapter. Vice president is Kim Salenza from the New York chapter. Secretary is Ann McNeely, CDFA of the Denver chapter. Treasurer is Penny Nelson, CDFA of the Orange County chapter. Past president, Brooke Simsick, CDFA from the Dallas chapter, and our executive director, Stephanie Kirshner, FSDA. The annual report was posted to the SDA national website for download and review. Are there any questions regarding the annual report? Not seeing any questions, the report will be filed. Secretary Ann McNeely, will you please now call roll?
Of course. SDA Atlanta.
Please be sure you're unmuted. Thank you.
Present. I'll give everybody enough time to say it. SDA Baton Rouge.
Liz Harris, president, present.
Thank you. SDA Dallas.
Mary Jacobs, Dallas president.
SDA Denver.
Present.
SDA Hampton Roads.
Lisa Jolly, president, Hampton Roads, present.
SDA Houston.
Present.
SDA Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Sandy, present.
SDA New York.
Jennifer Green, president.
SDA Northern California.
Rachel Moore, present and awake.
SDA Orange County.
Cheryl Champagne, president.
SDA Orlando.
Cindy Gardner, president.
SDA Portland.
Angie Jones, president.
SDA San Antonio.
Belinda Sanchez, President.
SDA San Diego.
Present.
SDA Seattle.
Judy Beebe, President.
SDA Canada.
Teresa Papazian, President, Vice President.
Thank you. Past President Ellis.
Present.
Past President Gill. Okay. Past President Kirschner.
Present.
Past President Lanky.
Present.
Past President Newman.
Present.
Past President Roman.
Present.
Past President Rowland.
Present.
Past President Schultz.
Present.
Past President Wallace.
Present.
Then we have National President Roman.
Present.
National President-elect Tamala.
Present.
National Vice President Salenza.
Present.
National Secretary Ann McNeely, I'm present. National Treasurer Nelson.
Present.
National Past President Director Simsick.
Present.
That is roll call for the annual meeting.
Thank you, Ann. At this time, I'd like to introduce the 2021 Minutes Approval Committee. Sherry Russell, CDFA, Dallas chapter, is the chair. The committee members are Danica Larson, CDFA from Minneapolis, St. Paul chapter, and Laura Lacerna, CDFA from the Hampton Roads chapter. The Minutes Approval Committee is responsible for taking notes and comparing their notes with the minutes submitted to them by the National Secretary, making corrections if necessary, and then writing a letter stating that they concur with the minutes. This letter will be sent to the seated National President for inclusion in next year's business meeting, with a copy sent to the Secretary. As this meeting is being held virtually, our Executive Director will serve as the teller's chair. Should there be a nomination from the floor, an online vote will be required. The Executive Director will then supervise the processing of ballots and petitions, receive and tally those votes, and report those results to the presiding officer. As this meeting is being held virtually, our Executive Director will also serve as the credentials chair. It is important to note that only delegates will vote during the polls. If you are not a delegate, please do not vote. This chairperson's sole purpose is signing in the voting members, active chapters, SDA Canada representative, executive committee members, and active past national presidents, and totaling all of the possible votes to ensure that a quorum is established for the upcoming vote. Will our Executive Director please present the credentials report?
Credentials have been received and are in order for, somebody needs to mute their line, please. 15 active chapters, 1 SDA Canada representative, maybe that's it, 6 executive committee members, 8 past national presidents, for a total of 30 possible votes. I move to accept the credentials report.
Thank you, Stephanie. Excuse me. This does not require a second. It is as it is being submitted by a committee. Is there any discussion on the credentials report? Remember to type RTS in the chat box if you need to discuss anything. If there's no discussion, the credentials report will be accepted by acclamation. bylaws of SDA stipulate that a quorum is established from the voting strength present. Therefore, we have a quorum for any upcoming votes unless one more than half of the voting members present leave the meeting prior to having voted on all proposed business. The annual business meeting rules were published on the SDA website prior to today's meeting. Does any member request that these rules be read aloud? If so, please type RTS in the chat box. With no discussion, the secretary will move immediately for the adoption of the rules.
I second.
Hi, Stephanie. I move for the adoption of the annual meeting business meeting rules.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. The annual business meeting rules will be adopted by acclamation. The agenda was posted to the SDA National website prior to this meeting. Secretary Ann McNeely, do you have any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes to the agenda.
The agenda will be adopted by general consent. There is no vote required. Will Secretary Ann McNeely please now read the June 2020 minutes approval letter?
Okay, so July 29th, 2020, written to Brooke Simsick, CDFA 2019-2020 National President, regarding the SDA annual business meeting of June 13th, 2020, a virtual meeting. Dear Brooke, the National Minutes Approval Committee has reviewed the minutes for the annual business meeting, which took place on June 13th, 2020, as a virtual meeting, and finds them in order with no need of substantial correction. Sincerely, Dana Sather, CDFA, SDA National Minutes Approval Committee Chair, with copies to Ann McNeely, SDA National Secretary, and Stephanie Kirshner, FSDA Executive Director.
Thank you, Ann. During the last, during the last 12 months, the Executive Committee met by teleconference monthly and as necessary for pressing issues. Will Secretary Ann McNeely please present a summary and the ratifications of prior actions of the Executive Committee taken during the last year?
The following items were ratified in the 2020-2021 term. December 16th, 2020, the ratification of the 2021 budget. December 16th, 2020, SLK Management year-end bonus. January 26th, 2021, renaming the PR Committee to the Marketing and Communications, or MARCOM Committee. February 24th, 2021, the Copsic, Oshner, and Scott CPA engagement letter was ratified. Those were the ratifications of the 2020-2021 term.
Thank you, Ann. The summary will be filed. All members of the Board of Directors have been notified of the publication of the annual reports on the governance section of the SDA website under Member Center. Also found on the website in the same location are chapter annual reports. Do any of the officers, committee chairs, or chapters have any updates to their reports? If so, will you please type RTS for request to speak in the chat box so that you can be recognized. The annual report includes summarized information from all committees. The annual report from our foundation, Construction Inc., will be on the national website as soon as it is received. Is there any further discussion on any of the reports? The annual reports will be filed. We are now pleased to present the SDA 2021 highlights. Okay. Here is the agenda for our highlights segment of the meeting. It's fair to say that even with the difficulties that the year held, we accomplished. We are so appreciative of the efforts put forth by our executive director, our committee chairs, and committee members. Our successes are a direct result of their hard work and dedication. EdConnect was very successful with a new format of 12 sessions over 3 weeks. The programs are all available for download on the website. The Marketing and Communications Committee, formerly Public Relations, made huge strides in getting SDA out there and enhancing our brand. Our second year of Best in Class awards saw additional submittals, and we have 2 nominations for the Lifetime Achievement Award, even though we aren't meeting in person again. There's a lot more information about our successes and the other pieces of our agenda in the annual report that has been posted to the national website. Please, if you have a chance, take a look at that. The fact that we were able to offer 40 hours of continuing education entirely virtually speaks to the effort of SDA to provide our members with quality education, no matter the circumstances. And now Kim will take the presentation to speak about membership.
SDA membership numbers have fell primarily due to the pandemic. The retention rate remained below our goal of 80%, and we came in at 72.61% for the term. Unfortunately, this has been a trend for the last several years. In the period of Q2 2020 through Q1 2021, the SDA enrolled 29 new members. This is a significant drop from prior years, and combined with our low retention numbers, we're facing our lowest membership numbers in recent history. We continue to take membership and retention and growth very seriously, and the membership committee started and ended with the 2020-2021 term by rethinking our recruitment and retention strategies. New membership collateral, thanks Marcom. 2 membership presentations under our belt, we definitely have a broader sense of direction now. Strategy and leadership sessions completed by the membership committee have been generally well received thus far, as have been the first round of new member calls. Now, while the numbers are low, they're just numbers. The way we have shifted gears during this pandemic and learn new ways to engage our members and keep the constant flow of information is something that we all should be tremendously proud of. We came together not just as chapters, but as one organization nationally. The membership committee planned and launched personal calls and emails to aspiring members, but even though we did not get feedback and not much response, we decided to go back to the drawing board. We then decided to have, and we ended up launching in March 2021, quarterly new member calls. We select new members and divide up the calls by time zones with 2 or 3 members of the membership committee participating in each of the calls. The purpose of the call is to assess the onboarding on a local level and to try to establish a more personal connection to the new members on a national level. This is key with our members at large. The membership committee also led workshops for the incoming chapter membership chairs, as well as hosted the first of 2 membership chair strategy calls. The information gathered is being compiled, and we felt that we had a great dialogue with all the chapters that attended. We will start preparing for the second session in early summer. Communication throughout our organization has been stellar. Weekly e-blasts, monthly blogs, social link, virtual roundtables, monthly chapter communications, and the topping on the cake, the fabulous way our Marcom committee has been able to engage our membership on so many levels to a great success, but I'll let them speak about that later. And continuing on with the highlights of our certification committee this past term, I will send it back to Karen.
Thank you, Kim. The goal of our strategic plan is to increase our certified members by 10% each year. This year, we welcomed 9 new CDFAs, bringing our total to 119, and that's an increase of 8%. While we didn't meet the 10% goal, I think that's a huge success for the year we all just lived through. Congratulations to our new CDFAs from chapters across the country. This is a great personal and professional accomplishment, so kudos to you all. The Marketing and Communication Committee, along with Stephanie, worked really hard on our brand awareness this year. They launched the Quick and 30 education format along with the deep dive follow-up sessions. There were 128 Facebook posts with 2,916 engagements, as well as Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn posts. The Marcom Committee also created the hugely popular Fridays After 5 features on Facebook, and everyone loves those. They were so popular, they were expanded as blog posts. Here's a sampling of their posts getting SDA's presence out there. And now Penny will take the presentation to speak about our finances.
As you all know, this was a tough year, and our financials reflect that. Overall, we had a loss of $9,116, but let me get into the details. Our organization has 2 sources of revenue, member dues and non-dues revenue. Our dues revenues were $91,100 for 2020. While we have lost members this year, that did not yet reflect on our 2020 dues revenue. Dues revenue actually increased just slightly in 2020. However, we do expect to see the loss of members take its toll on our dues revenue in 2021. Our non-dues revenue sources are our annual convention, sponsorships, business track workshops, CDFA registration fees, our virtual EdConnect conference, and other smaller miscellaneous income sources. Our non-dues revenues were $33,012 for 2020. These are the areas that were most affected by COVID last year. Since we did not hold our convention, there was no opportunity for the small profit we usually see, but more importantly, we also lost the sponsor income opportunity, a loss of $2,300 from 2019. Our general firm sponsorships likewise were greatly reduced, accounting for a loss of over $6,000. All other non-dues revenue sources were down 32% from 2019. But now for some good news. Our EdConnect virtual convention raised almost $9,000 more than it did in 2019. We were able to bring our members and our member organizations quality programming right into their offices and homes. We also decided to offer numerous webinars free of charge to support and invest in our members during this unique time. This, however, is not a sustainable model, and we've already seen a return to our cost-effective and high-quality program offerings that will bring much-needed revenue back into the organization. Our board of directors were able to pare down expenses to the bare minimum this year. Overall, costs were reduced $52,000 over 2019 levels. About half of this is, of course, convention costs, but overall expenses were pared down anywhere it was feasible. XCOM met virtually in 2020 and have chosen to meet virtually again in 2021 to avoid travel expenses, which would typically be around $2,500 a year. As I mentioned earlier, we're not out of the woods. The drop in membership numbers will affect our revenue in the coming year in many ways. We've cut costs as much as we can. Now we need members to drive the top half of our income statement and return to profitability. Back to Karen for sponsorships.
Thank you, Penny. A sincere thank you to our firm sponsors who continued their support of SDA even in a financially unstable year. Our business partners and strategic alliances play a big role exposing SDA in the industry. We appreciate these relationships very much. These are just a few of the term highlights, and as I mentioned before, there's a great deal more information in the annual report that is posted on the website. I would like to introduce the 2021 nominating committee. Brooke Simsick, CDFA from the Dallas chapter, is the chair. And the committee members are Robin Jeriel from the Atlanta chapter and Kelly Logren from the New York chapter. Ex officio members are Stephanie Kirshner, FSDA, and Marie Tamala, CDFA from the Minneapolis-St. Paul chapter. This committee is charged with actively seeking at least one candidate for each elective office, determining their eligibility, and presenting a report of their accomplishments. Will the chair please read the nominating committee report?
Yes, the nominating committee met by conference call 3 times between the months of November 2020 and January 2021 to identify and review the qualifications of prospective executive committee members. Prospective candidates were contacted by members of the committee, and upon their acceptance of nomination, they each provided a national office candidate application and an SDA candidate philosophy statement. These were posted to the national website, and the candidates were announced to the membership.
Thank you, Brooke. Nominations from the floor are now open. For the office of Treasurer, Ann McNeely, CDFA of the Denver chapter, has been nominated. Are there any nominations from the floor for Treasurer? For the office of Secretary, Gretchen Renz, CDFA of the Seattle chapter, has been nominated. Are there any nominations from the floor for Secretary? For the office of Vice President, Kim Salenza of the New York chapter has been nominated. Are there any nominations from the floor for Vice President? For the office of President-elect, Penny Nelson, CDFA of the Orange County chapter, has been nominated. Are there any nominations from the floor for President-elect? Okay. Having none, the executive director will act as timer for the 3-minute candidate addresses. Will the nominating chair please present the candidates?
Yes. Treasurer Ann McNeely, CDFA, Denver chapter.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Ann McNeely from the Denver chapter, and I'm happy to see so many are with us today. So challenges come in all shapes and sizes. Professionally, SDA has been my go-to resource for guidance to many questions I've had throughout the course of my career. I've lost count of how many times I've picked up the phone and called other members for advice or hopped onto the forums to find an answer to a question. In short, I never feel like I'm facing a challenge by myself, knowing that SDA has my back. During my last 2 terms on XCOM, I've been blessed to be able to have served with the exceptional individuals that are with me today. We've come together collectively to collaborate on new ideas and strategies that will strengthen the organization and inspire and engage all of our members in some way, all while continuing to provide value and resources that are relevant to an ever-changing industry. This is a tall order for one executive director and a handful of volunteers that serve on XCOM or on our national committees. And we work full-time on the side. So without rehashing all that was 2020, we're now halfway through 2021. In listening to the highlights of the last term, and without sugarcoating it, you know that we as an organization are facing challenges that will affect our collective future. Like most professional organizations, SDA is not a self-sustaining entity. We are only as strong as our members. We are SDA. Looking ahead, I see that it is paramount that we must take an active role in growing and strengthening the organization from the inside out. My vision of what SDA needs in its immediate future is instantaneous name recognition. No more, what is SDA? or who is SDA? Those questions must evolve into statements that we hear upon joining a firm in the AEC industry. Welcome to the firm. Now you need to join SDA. This goal can only be achieved through multiple fronts and require that all members take an active role. Education of the public, our firm leadership, and our industry colleagues through brand awareness. Strong membership growth and retention by providing educational resources and support to our members, and developing and maintaining strong industry partnerships through networking and community outreach. I promise to give my very best in my new role as National Treasurer. I know what SDA is capable of because I've lived it for the last 16 years of my career. As part of XCOM, I will have your back, just like you have always had mine. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. Next, Secretary Gretchen Renz, CDFA Seattle Chapter. Gretchen, you may be on mute.
Sorry, all drinks on me. So, good morning again. For those who I haven't met, I am Gretchen Renz, the business manager for Bernardo Wills Architects in Spokane, Washington, and a member of the Seattle chapter. I have been a member of SDA since 2007 and involved with my chapter since 2014. My motto for 2021 is see a need, meet a need. It's very simple, very straightforward, and I've got a great example that's going on in Spokane right now. There's this gentleman named Rick Clark who is just a normal guy who had a small nonprofit distributing backpacks with supplies to homeless individuals and to campers. And at the beginning of the pandemic, he decided he wanted to get donations to buy 20 pizzas from a struggling local restaurant to give to some first responders. So he started a group called Spokane Quarantine, a Facebook group, and, you know, got his 20 pizzas, and the idea kind of took off. And so in less than a year, they've raised more than $250,000 and purchased more than 17,000 meals from local restaurants to provide to other people who are in need. He saw a need and he met a need. It's just kind of taken off, and now there's 38,000 members in this group, and they are doing so much good in our community without fuss, without fanfare. People see needs and they meet needs. And they're doing it with dignity and with humanity and with no red tape. It's just getting done. So for me, I just couldn't help but think of Margaret Mead's famous quote that never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. In fact, it's the only thing that ever has. This validates that people want to help and that grassroots movements are the way that things get done. People see needs and they meet needs, and they do it without a lot of bureaucracy. For me, this means that individual involvement is crucial. Meeting needs is not someone else's job. If I see something that I think is important or that you think of as important, we just need to do it. And this is very fulfilling. That's why I'm excited about being part of the National XCOM and fulfilling this role to see needs and to meet needs. Finally, I would like to just take a minute to personally thank and appreciate Judy Beebe of the Seattle chapter for promoting my involvement in SDA. Early in my membership, she invested her time and her confidence in me, and I got more involved with the chapter and now the national level. Thank you, Judy, for setting the bar really, really, really high and encouraging me to go for it. I appreciate you and I love you, my friend.
All right, thank you, Gretchen. Next, we have Vice President Kim Salenza, New York chapter.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Good morning. I'm from the New York chapter, and this will be my second term as National Vice President. I would like to start off by thanking Karen Roman, Stephanie Kirshner, Marie Tamala, Ann McNeely, Penny Nelson, and last but by no means least, the biggest advocate for me joining XCOM, Brooke Simonek. It has been an honor and a pleasure serving this past term with all of you, and I have learned so much. Each of you inspire me on so many different levels, and I am humbled and grateful to be a part of this extraordinary group of women. When I joined the SDA in 2014, I had been debating back and forth between SDA and SMPS. What drew me into the SDA and continues to was its all-inclusive nature. I've realized during my 15-plus-year career in the AEC industry that you should never stop learning because the industry never stops changing. You should never stop growing. And I continue to appreciate the broad base of knowledge I acquire as part of the SDA. It has helped me grow in my career. Since joining, I became an associate, a manager, and a leader in both my firm, in my local chapter, and as part of XCOM. As Vice President, my main focus will again be on membership. And as we enter into this post-COVID world and begin to get back to normal, I think back on all the resources that were provided to our membership and how we all came together, not just as local chapters, but as an organization as a whole. In addition to increasing membership, I believe we are in a unique position heading into this year to increase SDA visibility in the industry on a national level, bringing to light the amazing wealth of information and resources pulled together by many people of this tremendous organization of experts. We faced unprecedented challenges during this COVID pandemic. However, it has showed us what we were all made of. We've all grown so much, both personally and professionally this past year, but we did it together nationally as one, respectfully and collaboratively. While our membership numbers may be down, I choose to focus on all positives, and there are so many. We've accomplished so much together, and I know I'm not alone, feeling grateful for the support we have given to each other during yet again another major historical event in our lifetimes. It's truly an inspiring organization, and it's time to start spreading the news. Hi, New York. In closing, I want to give a special thank you again to Stephanie Kirshner, Brooke Simonek, and Susan Lanke for inspiring me to start this journey on XCOM, always encouraging me out of my comfort zone, and for continuing to believe that I can. Special thank you and shout out to the New York chapter, the New York chapter board, but especially my friends who have turned into family. Pat Layden, Peggy McGrath, Jennifer Green, the amazing Amy Manny, Kelly Longren, and Elena Gutierrez. Marie Tamala, Penny Nelson, Ann McNeely, Gretchen Wren, Stephanie Kirshner, and Karen Roman. I am deeply honored to have the opportunity to serve the 2021-2022 term with you, and I can't wait to get started.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you, Kim. All right, up next, President-elect Penny Nelson, CDFA, Orange County Chapter.
Good morning and good afternoon. I forgot it's afternoon in other places. I'm Penny Nelson, candidate for the President-elect office for 2021-22. I spent this last year on the executive committee as national treasurer. The term was quite different than what I had expected or even imagined it would be. The XCOM team, like everyone else, had to navigate an entirely new environment and work out how to approach the first wholly digital year of SDA. Certainly, no one knew what the future would hold, but one thing quickly became very clear to me. The membership of SDA was well poised to figure it out, to evolve, and to keep our firm strong and thriving. I saw our organization and our leadership not only rise to the challenge, but become stronger and better enabled in many ways. The way our members joined forces can only be described as inspiring. As we navigated the new virtual environment, our members were able to meet on a much more effective and national level, allowing collaboration, encouragement, and sharing across the nation and Canada. Our common struggles became victories as we helped each other chart a new course. I personally met more members virtually this year than I've ever met face-to-face, and that was really incredible. To be able to see people's faces instead of jumping on a voice-only call is so much more enjoyable and effective. Zoom fatigue is real, but my time spent on video chats with our executive team and committee chairs and members was the most invigorating part of any day that it involved. As National Treasurer, I had the awesome assignment of being the XCOM liaison with the MARCOM committee. This small committee created and rolled out so many new experiences and connections for our members this year that it was mind-boggling. In particular, the Friday After 5 posts have been such a great way to get to know our members in a deeper and a more personal level. Who knew that we had a published author, a roller derby pro, a mixologist, a pastry chef, and even goat owner? It's amazing what a creative and great group we have. This year at XCOM also taught me a great deal about our organization and the work it takes to help it to thrive. I learned to think in more strategic ways that went well beyond my experience on the chapter level or even the national committee level. It's very easy to think nearsightedly about our local chapters, to believe that our local needs and issues reflect all the chapters. In some ways, this is true, but this past year taught me that our chapter challenges are as unique as our members are. It is in this variety of challenges that XCOM leadership steps in to bridge the gap and meet the needs of the membership as a whole. The next year will be yet another learning experience for me. Along with the duties of serving as the president-elect, I will be shadowing Marie as she takes on the president role. I'll be learning firsthand what it takes to lead an organization like ours and ultimately learn to step into those shoes at this time next year. I'm looking forward to being involved in and guiding our fabulous organization as we emerge from this pandemic now stronger than ever. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
those were all wonderful, ladies. As there are no additional nominees from the floor, we have a single slate of candidates for the election, and the nominees will be presented on one ballot. Is there any discussion? If so, please use RTS in the chat box. The national officers have been elected by acclamation. I am pleased to announce your executive committee for 2021-2022. Treasurer, Ann McNeely, CDFA. Secretary, Gretchen Renz, CDFA. Vice President, Kim Salenza. President-elect, Penny Nelson, CDFA. President, Marie Tamala, CDFA. I will serve as past president director. Do all of you accept these positions?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you. You will assume your duties immediately after this meeting has adjourned. I am the chair of the 2021-2022 nominating committee. Committee members are Vincent Lafitte, CDFA of the Atlanta chapter, and Carol Wanda Spradlin, CDFA of the Seattle chapter. Penny Nelson, CDFA, and Stephanie Kirshner, FSDA, will serve as non-voting ex officio members. We will now move to bylaws. Proposed amendments with 45 days advance notice require a 2/3 vote. Any other amendments proposed after that date require a 3/4 vote. There were no proposed bylaw or standing rule amendments proposed as of today. Are there any amendments from the floor? If so, please type RTS to speak in the chat box. Okay. Is there any unfinished business? Is there any new business? Okay, with no unfinished or new business, the 52nd annual meeting of SDA is hereby adjourned.